I just want to let you all know that as somebody who has not really been doing YouTube for 2 years, I'm finding making one video a day to be a very enlightening experience, but I'm happy to be here with you all again. Hello everybody, my name is Carrow Brown and I am the author of Dirty Deeds, and I would like to talk to you about Beatles and Spingy. I hadn't originally wanted to make these videos to do like talk about both characters at once, but they just kind of like showed up in pairs. So that's what we're doing. But we have Beatles and we have Spingy. Both of these are very fun characters. Everybody really likes Spingy, and I can't blame you. He's quite adorable. And these two are probably the duo that keeps the ship running the most. So we'll go ahead and we'll talk about Beatles first, and then we'll jump into Spingy. And I'll just leave these pictures up so you can take a look at them and enjoy their beautiful aesthetics. So where am I going? Okay, I'm going right here. So with Beatles is the pilot of the ship. He is the ace. And there's a little bit of different things that kind of got thrown in there when I was making this character. If anybody of you heard me talk about Dirty Deeds, you've heard that I've always like kind of mentioned like my favorite tropes that my dad and I grew up with. So Beatles is actually kind of like a small tribute to Top Gun, because that's the film that my dad and I watch every year on Christmas. It's like a routine. And I've always really liked the cocky pilot and stuff like that. And so while I do have the cocky pilot, I wanted to do a twist on it, because I'm sure, as you can see, okay, he's over here. As you guys can see, he's not human. He's actually an android. And what kind of android is he, you might be asking? Well, it's referred to as a sensu model, which is shorthand for essential model. Which is another way to say he's a blow-up doll. That's right, I made the ship's pilot a blow-up doll. But the reason I did that was because I thought it would be kind of funny if we had a essential companion able to kind of free itself of its original purpose to go and do something that it really enjoyed doing. And for Beatles, that is flying. He loves to be out into space. He loves to explore. And the other thing he loves to do is to make music. He's a really big fan of it. He's like a big hunter of frequencies, which is what they call it out there in space. So he's always like collecting things and getting different frequencies and trading them off, which is actually how he met the ship, but we'll get into that later. But he's very fun, because one of the things I wanted to do, and another reason why I wanted to make him a sensu model, is because sensus usually have to be very human, because they have to be very appealing and stuff like that. So even though he is an android, he's probably like the most he's got the most human characteristics and responses and snark on the ship, which I know everybody was like, he's kind of like, the snarky robots in Star Wars, and maybe a little bit of that, but again, I wanted Beatles to have his own flair, which is why I made him the way that he is. Now, some of you may be asking, like, well, how did he break from his original programming in order to be a pilot? And the lore behind that is many moons ago, as I like to say. Let's angle this camera just a little different so you guys can see my face. Hey, what's up? But what happened was there was a guy who had a wife, and his wife was very attached to her sensu model. And I know a lot of people are kind of like, why did she buy a sensu model? That's not a question for you and me to ask. It just happened, so we're just going to move on from there. But she was very attached to the sensu model, and so it really kind of irritated her husband about how attached that she was to it. So he decided to be like, let's find out if it feels the same way about you. And so what he did was he created what's referred to as the free will virus. And what the free will virus does is it basically allows the sensu to make that choice if it wants to return feelings or not. It also gives it like freedom of its program, blah 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 blah. That's why it's called free will. And in that particular case, it did not return the feelings. It was a very sad day for that lady. Lots of chaos, not good times for anybody. But once that incident happened, it started to whisper around, and other people wondered if their sensus felt the same way about them. In some cases they did, in some cases they didn't. But with Beatles, he did not feel that way about his client, and I want you to understand that I used the word client, right? So when his actual owner that was implementing him, we'll say it that way, wasn't able to get the free will virus out of him because of the person that injected it into him, he ended up throwing Beatles away. And Beatles got picked up in a scrapyard by a guy that needed a co-pilot, and since then he's been flying and he's very happy. Let's all clap for him. It's a good time for him now. Now, on the flip side over here, why is my camera keeps wanting to dip, guys? What's going on here? Why is it doing this? Okay, so as I was saying, on the flip side, we have Spingy, and I absolutely love Spingy, and everyone else loves Spingy. He's very adorable, except for people who are afraid of spiders. I'm very sorry for you. But when I made Spingy, I wanted him to be an engineer, and when I was trying to think of like, man, what would be a really cool kind of engineer to have. Like, what is the best engineer ever? And of course, like, I googled it, and some of the best engineers and builders are spiders, right? So I was like, oh, that's perfect, that's what we need to do. We have to make the engineer some kind of like arachnid character. And we did that, but when I was talking to Evan, I was like, I want you to make this character so that way one day we can turn it into a plushie. I don't know if there ever will be a plushie, guys, before you start asking in the comments, but that was the intention when I said let's make this character. And Spingy is probably like the cutest, most innocent character of the whole crew, because that is just the way that he decides to view the world. He is a little older than some people think he is, but his mentality is kind of like Goku in that childlike mentality and sense. And he loves the crew so much, and he loves his job on the ship, and he loves fixing, he loves helping, and as long as he's helping everybody, he's just so happy to be here, and he wants to be your friend. And he already did like this drawing of you. Do you want to see his drawing? Because he really did it, and he's very happy to talk to you right now. But part of the reason that Spingy loves the crew so much is because he was deemed not smart enough to be in part of his hive, and so what they did was they cast him off. And I had this conversation again with favorite part podcast where like, you think there might be like a little like colony of like not smart Spingies? And I was like, yeah, there probably is. I'm not getting to that story anytime soon, but it is a fun concept to think about. But because of the way that he was ejected from his family, because single mother, 92 siblings, single mother household here. I did it again. Why is my camera not wanting to do this? Okay, I'm gonna have to hold it, guys. But because of the way that he was ejected from his family, one of the things that happened is he kind of got clingy when he started making friends, which is why he likes to help so much, because as long as he's helping others and they want to keep him around, he wants people to keep him around. So there's some character motivation there for you. And that's pretty much all I want to talk about in regards to Spingy. So we've talked about Beatles and we've talked about Spingy a little bit. And these two have been working together for quite a while, not as long as Renlund and Felsiar. But part of the reason that these two have been working together is because they've been part of what's referred to as a flee team unit. And what that means is it's the team whose vehicle you get into to flee away from whatever it is that you did. So ace pilot, ace engineer, they usually are able to get out of whatever situation it is, and they're very good at it. They're also really good at fencing, lots of other transporting questionable jobs, we'll just say it that way. No questions asked here, they just want the money and to fly. But I really do like the way that Beatles and Spingy complement each other. I think it's a really good, again, like kind of like what I was talking about with Felsiar and Renlund, they pair really well and they counter really well, which is something that I really enjoy doing. But I think that's all I'm going to say about these two for right now. Again, the pre-order is still up until Friday. If you guys are interested, link is down below. I'd really appreciate it if you go check it out and see if it's your jam. Or if you're like, know somebody else who might like this as well, please send the video to them, let them listen, let them choose. I'd be happy to fix this camera angle one more time. That seems to be the theme of the day. And see what you guys think. And if you do purchase it and you do like it, please leave a review. Let my boss know, because I don't get number 2 if you don't like it too, as I'm going to start saying from now on. And I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up because I'm done fighting with my camera, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow.